It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Forum on Eagle Television. Great to have you watching our show. It's brought to you by Hayes Med. Our guest today, you'll recognize him, I know. His name's Butch Schlyer, and formerly with the Department of Health in Ellis County.
Right, the Ellis County Health Department.
And you did that for 23 years. We were talking about that before, of what you had done. But now you have a new role. And so as you were working on new role, we're going to talk about how that affects those of us here in Ellis County. So thanks for watching. But you made a transition from one side to another. How's it feel to be a county commissioner?
Well, right now it feels just a bit overwhelming. I just got back from Topeka. I spent 2 days in Topeka going to county commissioner orientation, and they give you a lot of insight into what we could expect as being a county commissioner. That was real informative. I'm glad I went to that.
Well, one of the things I know that was different, you know, being with the health department, you took care of making sure our county was healthy, but then you had to go through an election. You actually had two election processes you went through, both the primary and the final one to win. How did that feel coming from, you know, the other side of it? Do you like running for office?
I really don't like campaigning much at all. It is a lot of work. I put a lot of effort into it. I felt like I had worthy opponents both in the primary and in the general election. And I know in my Hayes district, I went door to door, you know, knocked on doors, talked to a lot of people, put out a lot of signs. And what I find about the campaign signs is you got to manage them. They break, they blow down, they move. Constant management of the signs, and it was a lot of work. I spent, when I started going door to door, I was wearing shorts and was sweating, and when I finished, I had a jacket on. So it was a lot of work and took a long time. I felt fortunate I won.
So when you go back and, you know, you'd retired after a great career, what caused you to say, I want to do this? I want to be a county commissioner? Because as you know, campaigning is a lot of work. Getting to that is a lot of work. What were you thinking?
Well, I worked for Ellis County for 23 years. And during that time, we've seen a lot of commissioners come and go. And about every time we got a new commissioner on board, as a group of department heads, we would scratch our heads and say, well, we have to train another one. Because so often, as well-intentioned as anyone is running for a county commission, they just don't have a clue as to what they're getting into. They know nothing about the departments, the employees, the mandates we have from the state, just what we are as a county government. And when I left the health administrator position, I thought about the next election. I knew I would have a couple of years to think about this issue. And I guess when that time came, I decided I could provide some of that insight. I know so much what goes on in the county, and I don't have a great big learning curve. Some things sure I need to be touched up on, but I know the procedures and how it goes.
You know, you went to Topeka. You're mentioning, you know, some of the training that goes on there. Are there other new commissioners across the state that are kind of in your same position?
I've seen a lot of people, and they were really scratching their heads when they started talking about the budgets and the fiscal issues facing us, the liability issues facing us. A lot of those folks just didn't have a clue they were really in for that.
When you look at across the board, you dealt with specifically, you know, the health issues that went around the state, but big budgets with that. Sure. What else are you finding as you're digging into this? Because you're now through your second meeting. What are you finding any surprises there?
No surprises yet at all. In fact, tonight our county administrator is going to be wanting us to set some direction on the county budget, which is the biggest issue we have. And you know, as we look at the county budget, we know one thing: we have more expenses than revenue. So that's an issue.
How do you do that? How do you deal with that? You yourself, you can't deal with the other commissioners, but how will you deal with that?
I think what we really need to look at this point in time, the county budgets by each and every department, they're just pretty lean. There's no place to cut anymore. Anyone who thinks they can go in and cut these budgets 2, 3, 4%, that's just wrong. It ain't going to happen. We have to get into personnel to do that. And if we start getting into personnel, if we want to have layoffs or anything like that, then we're going to have to reduce services. The problem we have with service reduction is you have so many mandates from the state. We have to provide certain services at a certain level by state mandate. We're basically an extension of state government. And you can just tie yourself up real quick if you don't have the staff to handle the services you need to provide.
How does the state help you? Obviously, they give you education back. What else does the state do to help?
There are some grants that are available through the state, but the state doesn't do a whole lot anymore. Many years ago, I had several discussions with County Treasurer Mick Billinger, and Mick would always tell me how the state kept decreasing the revenue sharing. And it's basically to the point we don't get revenue sharing from the state. We do get some grants through KDOT, and we get a few grants through KDHE, but it's not a lot of money anymore. So we're out here trying to fund our own self according to state mandate.
Well, that means you many times get to roll up your sleeves and do that.
Sure.
And yet at the same time, you know, there's some items that are coming down the road. I want to take a break here.
Okay.
And we'll come back and talk about some of the things you see coming down the road that are not only opportunities, but some of the challenges we face over the next few years as well. Our guest is Butch Schlyer, who is a new Ellis County Commissioner. Back with more after this.
Hayes Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hayes Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hayes Med, helping people be healthy.
Eagle Communications is your ultimate business partner. We provide business class phone with customizable features and fast, reliable internet. Your knowledgeable team at Technology Solutions has a broad base of IT services to meet your needs. Let the experts at Marketing Solutions get your message to the right people on the best platforms. The only piece missing is your business. Call Eagle Communications today at 877-61-EAGLE.
Hi everyone, this is Gerard Welbrock inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk. We record it over the noon hours Mondays at Old Chicago, north of the interstate in Hayes, and play back at 6 o'clock Monday nights on Tiger Radio Mix 103. You can also catch it on Eagle TV's channel 14 and 614, Tuesday and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., and always on HayesPost.com. So join us for Tiger Talk over the noon hour Mondays at Old Chicago.
Welcome back to the second half of our forum here on Eagle Television. Our forum is brought to you by Hayes Med, and we always ask for people to say, send me an idea. It's a program for this show. We'd like to hear from you. You can send it to gary.shorman@eaglecom.net if you send it via email, or you can go on Facebook. We're under ECTV Forum. Again, our guest is Butch Schlyer. You're recognizing because he was part of Ellis County Health and the Health Department for 23 years. If you haven't run into him there, well, you're going to run into him now as a county commissioner, as just newly elected, started just at the first of the year. And Butch, we left going into the break talking about some of the challenges facing Ellis County. You're just getting some training. You've been in Ellis County as part of an administrative side of things. What do you see as our biggest challenges that we have going forward?
The biggest challenge is the financial issue. I think going forward, we're probably at some point going to try to get a sales tax to help county funding. We're only one of about 26 or 27 counties that doesn't work under a sales tax. And if we don't get a county sales tax, the property taxes are just going to go up. As I stated earlier, there's no money in budgets to cut anymore. And if we want to cut some of the associated services, they really add to quality of life, such as our historical society. We give a little money to the Soil Conservation District, to developmental services. Those are all good things we really shouldn't be throwing out if we don't necessarily have to. So in order to keep our level of services, to keep the standards we need to keep, we're going to have to create more revenues.
One of the things I know, people like to understand why that is. Can they, do many people show up at your county commission other than maybe the media?
Not too many at all.
That'd be a good start if people
Sure.
want to know more about what goes on to be able to show up at those meetings.
Now the meeting is also televised. I don't know what kind of viewership we have at the meetings, but it is televised. But no, we seldom see very many people in the audience who just are curious.
If you look at some of the positive things that can happen, you know, one of the things I know people talk about is economic development, finding ways to help make Ellis County attractive to others. How do you make that happen? Or is that just one of those things, just because there's not enough money, there's really no way to help?
Well, Ellis County is what Ellis County is. If people have to like small community living and what goes with it, or else they don't. The county is currently trying to put together a comprehensive plan to help facilitate development in the county. With that plan, again, would set certain standards for buildings and the wastewater and all those kind of things. So without a good comprehensive plan, developers are holding back about trying to develop anything too. So perhaps we can get that accomplished and see where that goes.
What are you finding the condition working with others, like the city, because you have to work with the city on some projects. Obviously the state is one of those as well. Some of the economic development places. How do you foster growth in that area?
Well, you just do that with good communications and collaboration. That's about all we can do. And I know when our incorporated cities request the county to try to provide some assistance, we take that very seriously and try to do what we can do. You know, the same with the community at large. Whatever we can support, we try to support. I know they're just completing a development here out south of town that was for some athletic facilities for training and everything for youngsters. And although the commissioners couldn't do much financially with that, they did have a lot of public support for that too. They really advocated for that development.
Those are things that you hear about one way or another. What's your way, if somebody's watching saying, boy, I see a project, I see something, I see a pothole in my road that I need fixed, what's the best way for them to find you?
The best way to contact me right now is through email. And that email is real simple. It's bschlyer@ellisco.net. That's the best way to contact me.
And I think they can go online and find that under elliscounty.net as well, can't they?
They should be able to do that, yes.
Click on that, because one thing about it, in your chair as a county commissioner, if you don't hear from constituents, it's really hard to help answer a problem or help with an issue.
Sure, it is. And sometimes what I found when I was campaigning, constituents ask us about problems we're not really associated with. But I did get a real good earful about some of the things that the city's considering, but it wasn't very popular amongst my constituents. But
were you surprised at some of the things people brought up? Because when you go door to door, here's what I'm doing. People sometimes they'll have an agenda, things they want to talk to you about.
Yeah, and they do. I really wasn't too surprised, but sometimes just surprised at the fact that they don't really separate city commission from county commission and that sort of thing. They hear commission and think we're all in the same wagon.
And it's different, obviously, different services provided. Sure. They have to work together, and I think you mentioned that. Collaboration, trying to find ways to grow, because we don't have enough people to really be infighting. We have to find ways to collaborate and help our communities grow and do that. So, Butch, thank you for being on our program today.
Well, you bet.
More than that, thank you for volunteering your time to be a commissioner, go through the election process and do that.
We're going to do the best we can do.
Butch Schlyer has been our guest here, new Ellis County Commissioner. Thanks for watching the forum. It's brought to you by Hayes Med and by Eagle Communications. Our community connected.